Hello there, and welcome back to our time-lapse series. In today's 11th episode, we will continue on the big esplanade area in front of Space Mountain. As I'm recording this video, Frontier announced that from now on, you will be able to pre-order Planet Coaster 2, so this will be today's topic. Please note that this is completely subjective to what I saw, say and think. Everybody has an own opinion. Nothing is written in stone. On YouTube, there are already a lot of creators that have early access and showcasing the game. I think this gives a much more unsaturated and neutral view in which state the game actually is, than what we saw in the announcement trailer or the videos from the devs. So what are the key features? How's the gameplay, the game mechanics and the general design? The biggest feature would be the strong orientation and focus on water parks, including water slides, pools, and scenery that is set in a more tropical genre. This also includes minor features such as making shaded areas, hiring lifeguards, and constructing changing rooms. So far there will be 5 new themes in the game: Planet Coaster, Resort or Tropical, Aquatic, Mythology, and Viking. The last 2 I did not see in the game so far. A major feature is also the new path system, which promises to make paths way easier to construct in almost every shape or form possible, even allowing to draw sections to be in different materials. Another feature is that you have more smoothing options on the coasters. Also, you will be able to place switch tracks and make drop track coasters. The most exciting feature, I think, is the ability to place scenery on the actual ride. And this gets even topped by the ability to scale objects and to engage symmetry mode. We are also getting a scenery or foliage brush to quickly draw pre-picked scenery or foliage. It seems that the game will also feature a dynamic weather system. Also, there's announced a indirect multiplayer mode so that you can share the park with other people. And last but not least, maybe the biggest feature of them all, or at least for me the most important feature, the performance. So as I laid out the main features of the game, I think it's time to improvise and give you my thoughts on the game. As I said previous, I watched some YouTube videos about the new features, including some videos from the Lay Designer, Rudy Renkamel, Corvus, Aston Wolf, and obviously what we saw from Planet Coaster itself, the pre-order trailer. Yeah, and so far I think it's actually quite good what Frontier did. I mean, we get major features such as the hyped switch tracks or the drop track, and of course many water rides and flumes and slides and everything that is related to water parks. But on the other side, I think it's also worth to mention that they did not completely miss the connection to the prequel, since there are a lot of flat rides and coasters also in the game, so it's not a pure water park simulator. Something what I really like is also that they try to keep this visual style of the Planet Coaster universe, you could say. So everything is more comic-y, but it's also not super hyper realistic. So there's a nice balanced tone in between, but still we get the benefits of the better visual quality of the graphics. But so far I think we get quite a nice addition to the game. We get all those little, what I would see them as quality of life improvements or additions. So things that we didn't had in the prequel, and mainly the scale feature or the symmetry tool, and also just those switch tracks, for example. But for me, I would characterize me as not a pure Planet Coaster gamer that would play the game. I never played Planet Coaster just to play it as a theme park simulator. I always played it more like an editor to just make one park that is spot on with realism. And I mean, it's a different story then, because you don't have the expectation to actually play the game how it's meant to be played. so I don't play the game, of course, how it's meant to be played. I go obviously completely nuts in the part of creating things and do 99% building and not playing. So it's a different approach or a different mindset and also a different expectation level. But this is again really subjective to what kind of person you are. And so for me, the main features I'm looking for is to make the park as realistic as possible. And for that I need things like pieces that are generic. I think always on Legos. So you have Legos, they are made in the most generic forms and pieces, and you can make out of those pieces pretty much everything. And the same system, I would love to have this in Planet Coaster, so that you just get a generic palette of pieces that are so generic but also pretty high detailed that you can basically make everything out of it. So you don't even need pre-designed scenery pieces that are only designed to fit in a specific theme, and so you can build your own palette and use them to make your own scenery theme. But again, for the majority of people that later play this game, this idea is obviously not that attractive, especially for a game development team who have to make money out of their game. And that's why they want to keep it as easy as possible for people to play it, because they play it for fun. And don't get me wrong here, it's absolutely okay that the game is meant in this way to be played. You can't just please everybody. There will be always people that say, okay, we need more dark rides, we need more coasters, or we need more water rides. But in the end, what I want to say is just there are those two extremes of the casual players and the players that play it as a more realistic park building simulator. And that's why certain features are way more important than other ones. And especially for a project, the most essential feature we need is the usability and the flexibility of pieces that are most generic but also thematic. So in the prequel we have pirate theme, we have the horror theme, sci-fi theme, fantasy theme. So all those very iconic and historical themes that are in the most generic theme parks over the world. And for the sequel I missed those selection of themes. So it's of course more water park related. And that's just what I feared a bit, because then we lose all those other areas that we used to love in the first game. And for me it just doesn't make sense to throw away this content for free. I mean, it's there, just use it. I mean, it's just a 3D model imported as FBX file and you're good to go. And sadly this also boosts the narrative of the game being a DLC, because it's now looked as an extension rather than a complete new game that replaces the old game, since it's also called Planet Coaster. So you would assume it replaces the first game with the new innovation of the better engine, the better graphics, and then of course use all those pieces from the first game to have a refined version of the first game with the benefits of the new additions of the water parks. But yeah, you see that I could rant endlessly here on this topic, but maybe let's talk a little bit about the performance. So in the first game we had always this trouble with higher piece counts. The park performance will get extremely poor, especially with when you let people in the park. So the main bottleneck of Planet Coaster 1, why it performed so poorly, was that it still used DirectX 11 to render elements in the game. And so it was bottlenecked by the limitation of rendering every item in the game by the single core. So it didn't benefit by having multiple cores. And in Planet Zoo, they changed that to DirectX 12, which now allowed for multi-core rendering. And this game performed way better than Planet Coaster 1. And I just found out what the system requirements of Planet Coaster 2 are. and they include DirectX 12, so it's pretty obvious that Planet Coaster 2 will outperform the prequel, but it just depends by how much. So far I did not see any footage of super high density parks, but I'm sure that people and creators that have already access to the game right now will experiment in the following days, and maybe they find some more infos about how performant the game actually is. But to end this topic, I think we can say that the game looks very promising so far, and it has many features that the community requested. I mean, that's always a good sign that the developer of a game is respecting the wishes of their community. That's always great. There are many development teams in the world that don't give a crap about it, so I'm very delighted to see that. And yeah, we can just look forward, and I'm sure in the coming weeks and months we learn more about the game. With that said, let's get back to our build. So as I said in the previous video, the right building from this wall is basically the queue building, where the queue goes through the building and ultimately into Space Mountain. And this entrance or this wall doesn't exist in reality. So at the time I just built it to have something there to make this area watertight. Obviously when I do the remaster of Space Mountain and redoing the queue as well, I will open this area and place something in it so that you can actually move in there and have the interior done and also the entrance and exit. We're getting closer to the end of the 11th episode. We managed to almost finish the esplanade in front of Space Mountain. While doing that, we talked about Planet Coaster 2, its upcoming features, and my thoughts about it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, subscribe, like or comment, and make sure to join our Discord server. If you want to see more, make sure to watch my introduction video or check the playlist of the time-lapse series. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one. Goodbye.